Did you hear what happened yesterday by chance? Listen, I don't. As you're IA, right? You're like the IA.
No, that's dark.
What? What do you do?
I'm a high command.
Oh, perfect. Even better. Whatever. Listen. I needed to speak with someone after the incident that happened yesterday. What department are you with? I think. Oh, you're LSPD. Shoot, that doesn't work. Whatever. Okay. So yesterday you weren't on duty, and the only high commanding officer on duty was Wrangler. And did you see in command chat Bison discussing about superior officers not being respected by chance?
Garry, I can't hear you and I'm scared.
Why are you scared? Wait, hello?
PD dispatch, be advised we
Can you hear
have
me?
at least 4 interference vehicles on channel
Oh,
4.
Wait, you can't hear me right now?
Oh, there we go.
Oh my God, sorry. What did you hear? What did you not hear?
I heard you ask what department I am.
Okay, sorry. Something's wrong with my voice box. I don't know what's been going on, but
Hope you have a better day today.
so yesterday was a little bit of a debacle. I don't know if you heard the incident that took place about opening fire on individuals that's resulting into a massive lawsuit to the PD. You heard about this?
No, I haven't heard anything about
Okay, step on out. It's about to be a little wild.
Oh, Jesus.
So yesterday there was an incident that took place, and I don't have a report number right now. I think the cops are were involved. The cops are involved are not really happy with it at all.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find it real quick for you. Dang it, I don't know what it was. I don't even think anyone wrote a report for it, which is even worse. So Jones was the primary officer involved in this.
Let me look over his reports.
It would have been
OIS El Rancho, OIS North Freeway.
it wouldn't have been those. It would have been one with Benji in it.
Okay, yeah, this one's...
Yeah, they actually did not even write a report about it. Okay, so Reggie Might's taking it to court. It was a very uncomfortable situation for officers, and I think it's becoming an issue lately where
Benji, like Benji Ramos?
yeah, Benji Ramos.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything with him listed in it. It's
Yeah,
like a month.
yeah, because so what ended up happening, let me just give you the breakdown. 13 Alpha goes off. Rogers was involved, and a doctor was injured. A grenade was thrown at Pillbox. Nothing was said. No one heard anything. Officer 13 Alphas. The latest we saw was an individual in a truck leaving the scene, and then my head popped. So my head popped right after the grenade explosion. I got back on duty, and by then, all hell broke loose. They ended up seeing a vehicle from Upper Pillbox that had blown up a police cruiser, a doctor, and Rogers, the police officer. An SUV was seen Lower Pillbox entering the highway. After that, Jones had radioed in multiple times that they have a vehicle leaving in Lower Pillbox heading onto the highway, but are unsure if this is the involved vehicle. At that point, the officers did a felony stop to try to figure out the situation. At that point, these guys are very confused because there's like 6 or 7 officers pulling these guys over. And next thing you know, they're just like, what is happening? We didn't do anything. And then within the officers getting out of their vehicles, cops started opening fire as they took off. The call was made by Wrangler to open fire on the individuals without PC. We had enough reasonable suspicion. We didn't have enough probable cause to open fire. Over the radio, Wrangler can be heard screaming, "I don't care if it's not them, open fire. An officer was just killed." So Officers opened fire. Carter, King, Marcel King, Jones, a cadet that I don't have the name, I don't recall, are all opening fire on these individuals, unknown, them all morally knowing that they were not involved. They just heard a command from Wrangler to open fire. These individuals just crash out. They're like, what the hell is going on? They open fire back at police because they had no idea what was even happening. And then the cops all come to realize, like, hey, we didn't these aren't the guys. So once that happened, it turned into this situation with all the cops where, like, everyone instantly knew they messed up, that they just gunned down 6 people that were not involved at all in the 13 Alpha. So then we get down to MRPD, and at this point Bison is very agitated, and he had all right to be, because he felt that people were not respecting commanding officers. I think Bison is a senior officer or a commanding officer. I think he's command, right?
Yeah, he's corporal, or no, he's a sergeant. He got promoted to sergeant.
So he felt like, hey, like, no one was listening to him on scene because nobody wanted to take DNA. Nobody wanted to, log anything because everyone knew how bad this was. Instantly, everyone felt on scene that this was just incredibly awkward. And it was just because the command was given from a superior officer that they shot. And I think that's where their moral compasses were like, hey, like, there's I think the PD is a little bit fractured, to say it the best. There's just an awkward tension, even in shift 3 meeting. It was incredibly awkward, because all of these guys knew that they did wrong. During the huddle to figure out what we're gonna do with these individuals, Jones went as far to say, because Reggie ended up coming down with the 6 clients he had, and Jones was like, hey, the charge we're pressing are attempted murder of a government employee because the individual shot back, and disobeying a peace officer. And I laughed at Jones. I was like, Jones, you're really gonna hit these guys with disobeying a peace officer? He's like, yeah, because that's the only way we're gonna have probable cause, and that makes our search on their persons not illegal. I said, Jones, that is illegal. You are giving them a charge just to get the outcome you're looking for, and that is wrong. And I had to call him out on it, because I don't think that's very just. I think that's immoral, unethical. And when I had this discussion with him, he sort of was like pushed back that, like, hey, what do you mean? Like, this is what we always do. That was the response. And then all the other officers in the hurdle were like, hey, like, this was super wrong. We need to drop all these charges and let them go. But now we have a huge lawsuit because their vehicle was striked and impounded. They were all shot down, and there was about, I want to say, like 12 officers involved or so. So that could.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about their vehicle being striked.
On
that actually, that says that we can't be sued for that actually.
Okay, that was what Reggie was saying.
Shot, that's a little bit of a bigger
one. That's what Reggie was just saying. He's like, oh, you guys are, there's a huge lawsuit. You guys striked his vehicle, impounded. You guys shot my clients for no reason and no probable cause. And now I look to, put in my report, and there's none. So I don't know what to do.
Okay. Shit. All right. If the order on this came down from a captain, ultimately it's going to, any lawsuit or anything like that is ultimately going to fall on chain of command for that. I am not going to fault 3 or 4 officers for following on an order that's borderline. When chain of command exists for a reason.
Yeah.
I think the real question is, without the full context, why an order like that is being made in the first place. Especially if we're looking for a vehicle on upper, this thing's lower. There's no confirmation from anybody that this is the correct vehicle. Like, did we speak with the officers who were down before we started saying it? Well, I guess you're head up, so you got no idea.
No, Rogers wasn't able to relay anything. He was up by the time I got back. He didn't see anything, hear anything, nothing. There was no information. So it to my understanding from the officers that were there, the order was given without any, like, without Wrangler knowing anything. It was just given because it was an SUV in the area, and, like, you know, it could have been a mom and kid in the car. We don't know, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, like, I'm just what this main whole conversation is that, hey, there is now a distrust in the chain of command, and Bison brought up in last night's meeting that, like, he also sees it because people are now very hesitant to listen, because Carter has now been in a situation like this multiple times. I wish Carter was on duty, because he can really let you know how this all happened. So yeah, and this is a situation that's happened with the Z's before as well, where he's listened to chain of command to shoot and then it ends up being the wrong person. And then when all this stuff happened, I think personally, like an example, like if you gave an order like that, right, as high command, and this situation unfolded the way it did, you knowing the way that it unfolded, you would want to be there in the MRPD cells, would you not?
Yeah, more than likely to, oversee processing and so on and so forth.
Yeah, Wrangler just didn't even show up.
Take the heat off of any decisions that were made.
Yeah, Wrangler just didn't show up. He just left it all on my plate, on Jones's plate, on Bison's plate, and Bison was in communication with him, but it just, I've been on the force for a long time, Bundy, and I've never felt more uncomfortable with how the other, even the cadet was like, hey, this was so wrong. Wrangler wasn't on scene, by the way, for that call, to make that call either. He just made the call.
Jesus. Okay. All right.
So, like, I've personally, I am not the person that should be letting you know of this, because I've had my issues in the last 24 hours with Wrangler. So I could see when you bring this to high command, there could be.
You've brought this to the right person, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull Bass aside, and I will temper expectations, because there's a couple of people we need to talk to about this. We need to figure out what Jones's perspective on this is.
I think the key people are Jones, Bison, Carter, and Marcel King. Those four.
And Wrangler. We need to know his position on this was. So.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bring this because Wrangler is equal rank to me. I'm not gonna go butting heads laterally like that. I will bring this to the chief. We will probably wrap IA into it, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, that's fine. For the court case that is going on the docket, this situation involved this specifically, I'm gonna 23 with Jones to figure out, hey, do we have an incident report or what's going on, or I'm gonna ask.
Leave that to me and Bass.
Okay.
Bass take care of that. We'll make sure that something goes up. We can't just not put it. Did these people end up getting processed for anything?
No, dropped everything. But a report should have gone up because Reggie's going. You know how Reggie is. I'm not sure if you haven't. I don't know if you do actually, but.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I've known Reggie for a minute.
Yeah, he's licking his lips, taking this to town.
I'm not seeing anything on the docket quite yet. He might have put a FOIA request in for it though.
Yeah, I think he put a request for the report, and he hasn't gotten the report. So I think that's the kicker.
Okay, so Marcel, Carter, Jones, and Bison are the other 4 officers, and then Wrangler's the officer captain made the call.
You can even get Rogers' statement as well. I think his is important, because he saw a lot of the aftermath, and he was on the radio. I think Rogers, with his tenure in the force, he was equally shocked. Like, why did he make that call without any information? Yeah, it was weird. It was rough.
Okay. Here, let me call the chief. Let's see if. Yeah, let's get back to MRPD.
Right.
Because I need to talk to the chief about this. Probably privately, just so we can kick
no,
off.
you do your thing.
The chief might want to ask you a couple of questions though. So.
I didn't. By the way, I didn't go to Bass with this directly because yesterday he had a really stressful day.
Yeah, no, it's like that sometimes for him.
So he just I think he needed a mental break from the gymnastics of problem after problem after problem.
No, no, you're fine.